So Kandarp, tell us a little bit about Somerville Plating, what you all do there, and what you offer your customers for you.
Sure. So Somerville Plating is a 5,500 square foot chrome plating
Hmm.
facility. We mainly do hard chrome for our customers. Our targeted customers are aerospace and defense, but we also offer plating services to uh, machining,
Hmm.
hydraulic machining businesses, as well as grinding shops. And we have big customers like Eaton and Collins, but we also cater to local grinding shops. We are centrally located in Midwest in Melrose Park, Illinois,
Hmm.
which so that gives us ability to cater to states like Indiana, Michigan, Wisconsin, and Illinois. So
Right.
that's
Yeah.
what we do. Our main competitive advantage is we have a Nadcap approval, which allows us to cater to aerospace and defense. We recently got ITAR certified, and then we apply for firearms license. We also do a lot of gun part plating of the gun part. So
Gotcha.
yeah, we are in a sweet spot where we can cater to multiple regions, and we're trying
Hmm.
to develop our niche in aerospace and defense, among other industries.
Right. Yeah. So is it just south of O'Hare Airport?
Correct.
You're
Yeah.
up in the Chicagoland area. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're close to, Wisconsin, Michigan, Indiana, all
Yes.
those areas that do a lot of manufacturing. You're right there, very close to them with that. So yeah, yeah. So Somerville's been around for a long time, right?
Yes.
But you're a new owner. You're a new
Correct.
owner, a
Yeah.
new involvement with it. Tell us about that, because I know, in looking at it, you've got an extensive aerospace background, correct? Is
Yes.
that pretty
Yes.
much?
And so to tell you the journey, we are the
Mm-hmm.
third owners of this business,
Mm-hmm.
and me along with my brother-in-law, earlier this year. In fact, we started our search last year. We were looking for something in manufacturing, and we realized that a lot of manufacturing has been moving around. So there are competitive risks from kind of moving it to Mexico or China. However, plating is a very local business, and it seemed that this business is always needed for the local industries, and there's never a risk of outsourcing that. So we were looking for plating as a subset of opportunities to pursue within manufacturing, and then this opportunity came about. And what that entailed was we looked at the numbers, and we spoke to the owner of the business, and we really felt connected. We really felt that he was passionate about the business, and he took care of
Mm-hmm.
that business. And so we thought it was the right platform for us to jump in, bring in our expertise. I had expertise in aerospace and defense. This business
Mm-hmm.
was operating in that realm, so we thought we could easily kind of scale it up. And then we also thought there were other industries that we could kind of steer the business towards. And
Mm-hmm.
we wanted to focus it in niche industries, so not where everyone can compete, but where the barriers to entry are high. So we are
Right.
currently focusing on medical devices where we don't have a lot of presence in, but we continue to scale in aerospace and defense. So it seemed to be a great opportunity. We are 4 months in, and we continue to believe that it is a great opportunity for us to work on.
Yeah, I was going to say, you've got a facility there that's been around a while, known for its quality, has certifications,
Mhm.
right? The management team have been there for a while, and like you said, you've got a strong employee base or everything. It looked like, when you saw that, was that something? Had you been looking at other shops as well, or was it
Yeah.
just one of the few?
Yeah, there were a couple of shops we looked in Michigan, and there was one in Indiana, in the Michigan, Indiana area. And uh, the reason, as I mentioned to you, the reason we picked Somerville Plating was the seller, was the owner at that time. He was
Hmm.
really good. He was really passionate, and he wanted to make sure
Right.
that whoever took this on, uh, he was able to provide the necessary support, the necessary knowledge transfer, and he came through. I mean, we are 4 months into this transaction, and he's still helping us, supporting us. Um,
Right.
he's already got his check. He's already been paid, but he still comes in, takes a look, and helps
Right.
us out wherever he can, which is great.
Right.
So I feel looking back, I mean, it's too early, but we thought we feel that we made the right decision in kind of betting on that gentleman and that couple
Right.
who wanted to transition out.
Right. Hey, in your, I know you've had a career in, like I said, aerospace and a lot of other industries.
Mhm.
Had you had much interaction in the finishing aspect of it? Did you know much about that? The finishing part of all the manufacturing before you started looking at Somerville.
Great question. No, I didn't. And
Hmm.
I was into manufacturing strategy though. And what I mean by manufacturing strategy is we would look at different areas of manufacturing of a large company and see whether a manufacturing site makes sense in that area or region, or whether the cost is too high, whether we need to combine those uh, businesses or manufacturing sites, or grow in an area where we don't have presence, or make something closer to the customer. So I did have some understanding of what processes could be transferred and what processes couldn't. I know special processes were hard to transfer from one area to the other,
Hmm.
whereas, say, a stamping business or machining or grinding, it was easy to kind of take it to a low-cost area. So I had that
Right.
understanding, but yeah, no first-hand experience in that aspect of plating.
Sure.
Uh, but when we went through a site visit, when we looked at the process, we realized that it wasn't a very complicated process. And
Right.
again, as the seller reassured us that he would be able to teach us, transfer the knowledge, and he had robust documentation in place, we were a little more confident that this was something that we could take on and learn on the go, on the job, and at the same time leverage some of the things that we already knew.
Right. Right. Yeah. I mean, you mentioned barrier to entry. It's not like a competitor's going to open up down the street. This is a very highly regulated industry, right?
Correct.
Who's
Yes.
in is in,
Yep.
and that's pretty much where it is with that. How many employees do you have there
Mm,
now?
Currently, we have 11 employees.
Okay,
Yeah.
gotcha,
Hmm.
gotcha. And like you said, having the NADCAP certification kind of formalizes, like you said, how everything is done,
Sure.
right?
Yes.
It's not just that, tribal knowledge. It's really everything's formalized with that, which had to be a benefit that that's an operation that you want to have, something that's gone through the accreditation and the audits and things like that, and passed with that. That's certainly something I think probably made it even more attractive
It
to you.
did, yeah. And coming from the industry, having the knowledge that NADCAP was a certification that was difficult to get, and once you have it, it's very easy for you to play within the aerospace and defense industry. So that we really value that this business had it. And a lot of times we hear from our suppliers that you are the only plating company with that certification from Wisconsin to Michigan. So we are bound to come to you
Mm,
even uh, sometimes when we made mistakes initially, and they are like, we have no other choice. We have to come to you because there are no other plating
right.
suppliers in the area with that certificate. So uh, it was a benefit for us to have that from the get-go. And but we continue to kind of leverage and make sure that we are maturing the processes, keeping the processes robust, and kind of standardizing it across the board.
Right, right. Yeah. So you're doing hard chrome, I think, electros nickel, and then grinding. Are you doing grinding and polishing in house
No,
at your
we don't
facility
do it
there?
that in-house. We kind of leverage our
Okay,
partner suppliers to kind of drive some of it.
gotcha.
Our competency is hard chrome, and we also do little nickel, but everything
Hmm.
else we try to do that with our partner suppliers.
Right. Okay. 4 months. I mean, what's been the biggest surprise about this industry after getting into it for 4 months? What surprised you the most, or something that you really didn't realize, or uh,
Yeah, no, something that there were a couple of things from the demand
mhm,
side, from the build side. We didn't realize that the equipment that we were using, it it required it required a lot of close monitoring. And then the other thing that surprised us was that even though we thought this was a Nadcap-certified shop, a lot of this process was manual, and so we had to everything was tracked on paper. So one of the things that we are trying to do, I think we are in that journey yet, is to kind of digitize a lot of this, and go away from this manual approach. Yeah, all pieces of data, everything that was being tracked was through a pen and a paper. So that was, at least from my experience in the industry, where everything was available at a push of a button, that was something that was hard. And so we would get customer calls that would give us the status, and we had to take the paper into the floor and see where the product was. There wasn't some system that would tell us that, hey, this product is at this process. So that was a surprise. And then in the 4 months, we saw a lot of breakdown of equipment. So we making sure that all the maintenance of our equipment and the check that's needed is taking place at regular times. It was something that we took it for granted. We thought everything would be working good to go, but it didn't. And so we had to, we are keeping a close eye on both of these areas. I think in terms of digitizing, we are, I mean, being a new owner, that's one of the value that we are providing to the business, is kind of adding that digitization aspect and moving away from paper. That kind of improves our productivity as owners and allows us to direct our attention in the right area. And at the same time, it also improves productivity of our workforce.
Right. Yeah. I was going to say, data. I think finishing is not very data driven, and it should be. I mean, you should be able to see statistics and things such as that. Like you said, even when customers call, want to know where a project is in the midst of it and everything. I would think that you coming from sort of outside the industry, you and your partner coming from outside the industry, is probably down the road going to be a very big plus, because you're seeing things from a different perspective than just how we've always done it. And I think what you were just saying is, how do you keep that quality but make improvements, right? Make efficiencies better, so you can increase your turnaround time and or reduce the turnaround time and all those things. So that had to be something, I think, with all the the knowledge and skill that you have from outside the industry, to be bringing that in and sort of modernizing a company that really, like I said, a lot of finishing shops don't really, they almost have to be dragged into it. Either it's their customers are telling them this is what's going to happen, but when you can see it and say, this is what we're going to do, it's got to be a big plus. I think you see that. You've probably seen that already, correct?
Correct. Yeah. I feel a lot of processes that have been there, they were kind of outdated, and so coming from an outside industry, we were able to apply a fresh eyes perspective. We were able to create metrics which the shop didn't have, and then we are able to add, as I said, digitization is a big piece of what we are focusing on. And so those are the things that we look at things differently, and our perspectives are different in those areas. And then also in terms of human resources and the trainings, we are trying to reach out to the local government and try and see what training resources we could have. We are trying to reach out to the universities and try and see what basic understanding of chemistry our staff needs to have. So we're trying to empower our staff with additional resources. I had worked in government incentive programs before, so that's when I kind of reached out and leveraged an apprentice program that City of Chicago was offering. So those are things that we bring from our background, and everything that comes, we are looking at fresh perspectives. Some of it would benefit because we don't know the background. Some of it we are trying to get the learning curve and understand it from our owner's experience and past owner's experience or documentation we have in shop.
Right. You mentioned medical, and you mentioned, I think you said you guys hadn't really been, Somerville had not really been in that sector before, and I know it's a growing sector for finishing, and I know a lot of finishers don't do it because there's a high there's a high quality certification, those type of things that are required of that. So that's something that you're talking about, is bringing that in and sort of going after that market, because there's not a lot that handle that market in the finishing industry, to be
Correct.
honest.
Yeah, yeah. I feel medical is a big area where we can play, and some of the same processes and safeguards that aerospace requires in terms of documentation and data gathering. Medical devices also need that kind of background and documentation. They also need those long-lasting uh, units, and our plating, chrome plating per se, is able to provide that. So I feel that that's an opportunity that we are trying to pursue. Would I say we have a big medical device customer right now? No, but we are in talks with few where we are trying to
Right.
be on an application which will be used in a medical device arena.
Right. Yeah. I mean, coming in, you've got, and I think the Somerville has been owned by the same family since it was founded, right?
Yeah,
I believe
yeah.
it was. It's got to be tough coming in. You've probably got people looking at you, thinking, "How's it going to change? How's it going to do differently?" and everything. And you've kind of got to, walk that fine line, right? Is
Sure.
that you want people to feel comfortable with you, but you've got like you said, strategies. You've got numbers in your head. You've got ideas in your head. How do you mesh those two together of really getting people to understand? Like I said, it's only 4 months in. Maybe it's too early to start some of that, but certainly I'm thinking you've got a little bit bigger, grander ideas that you might be pursuing then, right?
Yeah, the thing with taking an existing business is you have to maintain continuity, and any change that you bring has to have that continuity. Any change that you bring will be in continuation, but little changes at a time. So you have to nudge your workforce. You have to nudge the processes only slightly. You can't do it at a rapid pace, because then people get surprised, people get alarmed, people are like, "We are not used to it. How can we do it?" Or they just say that, hey, they are here to make big changes, and that could impact our jobs. So we have been very patient with some of the changes that we've implemented. And this process, at least the first 4 months, has been communication, communication, communication. So any changes that we want to bring in, we've had to have deliberated communication with our staff, and get their feedback, and then incorporate that into the changes that we're making. So we've implemented things slowly, and I feel that's the right way to do it. So far, our staff has been really positive about the changes that we've implemented, and they have been on our side. And even the previous owners, the lady still working with us, she has also been able to assimilate some of the changes that we've tried to implement. So it's
Right.
I feel if you acquired a business and if you're planning to use the existing management and workforce, it has to be continuity with change. It can't just be changes, because then people are not very comfortable driving those changes, and may
Right.
make your workforce nervous.
Right. Have you ever, you or your partner, owned a business before? Have you
So yeah,
been sole owners?
not no, yeah,
Not in the
not
manufacturing.
in manufacturing.
Right.
My business partner, he had a photography business and a couple of other
Right.
entrepreneurial ventures. Me myself, my wife had an assisted living business that I would help support. But this was the first time we were in kind of manufacturing environment.
Right. Yeah. And it's kind of, I'm assuming it's kind of different because
It is.
you've got a fixed facility, you've got fixed staff. you're now in the driver's seat. People are looking to you for answers. Something breaks, it's on you. You've got to kind of either repair it, replace it, whatever you got to do. That's kind of seems like a daunting task sometimes, doesn't it? I
It
mean,
is, it is. I mean, you are the person who's calling the shots. If there are
mhm,
successes, you get the accolades, but at the same time, if there are things, people are looking at you to make decisions and they want you to make right decisions. So it's a very, I mean, our approach is very collaborative approach where we try and get inputs and then make an informed decision. But it is something that that we are accountable for everything that's happening in the shop. And like me, I have a job, I have accountability. I mean, when I had a job, I had accountability and ownership, but there weren't 10 people looking at me for decisions and making sure
mhm,
that their livelihoods were taken care of based on my decisions and impact. So um, that's the result now of all the decisions that I make.
mhm. I mean, have you, you and your partner, have you set aside goals of what you'd like to do 2, 5 years down the road? I mean, it looks like there's a tremendous potential with Somerville Plating, right?
Correct.
Like I said, you've got new ownership, and you've got some ideas. What can you share with us? What do you want to do? And certainly, like I said, the quality is there. You've got your certifications and everything, but what do you want to do with this over the next, couple of years? Where do you want to take this then?
Great question, Tim. Where we are focusing on is kind of going and expanding in businesses where we don't have current presence on, so more on organic growth.
Hmm.
We also feel that if we are able to offer other products like zinc plating, anodizing, so if there are any other uh,
Hmm.
adjacent products that we could offer within the infrastructure of our shop, we would love to do that. There are certain replacement technologies to hard chrome like HVOF that are coming up, so we would like to take a look at that as well. But those are like 2 to 5 year plans, at least for between now and next 2 years. We want to digitize the shop. We want to make sure that we are able to make this operation very efficient, very optimized version of where it is right now. And then we want to make sure that we empower our customers with all the information that they want when their order is being processed in our shop. So we want to make our shop more transparent, more digitized from year 0 to year 2. And then from 2 to 5, we want to add additional capabilities in addition to hard chrome in our shop. So that's organic. If there are inorganic opportunities to grow and develop, we might look into that too. But at least for next 2 years, we want to focus on learning the operation, digitizing the operation, and scaling it up.